When these children come into the orphanage and they have lived in conditions where there's very little water,
Yes.
the rivers that I saw driving by during the rainy season are muddy, and they're getting their bathing water, their drinking water, their cooking water, all out of this muddy river.
You're
When
right.
these children come into the orphanage, and you said they only have 7 parasites? What are some of the conditions that families are going to expect to bring these children home with?
Well, when we rescue, I use the terminology to bring a child out of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Because many of them live so in the soil and in the earth and in the ground, and they come with jiggers in their feet. That's that little fly that lays eggs, and you have to physically go pick it out. And it's very unhygienic and very gory. They come with that in their fingers and in their nails because they don't get to be bathed. If they get water in their homes, it is to drink or to cook with. Bathing is not high on the priority list because they have to first drink.
Mm-hmm.
So in the more sophisticated homes, they do know that they need to boil the water. Most homes, they don't boil the water, so the children are on the floor and on the ground and outside, and then they come in and they drink the water that just came out of the river. There are tremendous parasites. Parasites that we don't even know about in America. And when a child comes and he's, we do the stool the stool sample and test at the hospital, and we do the urine test. Those are basic evaluations.
And then you treat for these parasites. And
We treat immediately.
about the lined up potties.
As soon as a child starts to go on this treatment, and even children that have gone through the treatment that came with parasites, it's a standard procedure that every Monday, all the little soldiers are lined up and they get their antibiotics against the parasite. So then we line up the potties on the ground, on the cement outside, because we need to know who has what, and who needs more treatment and who's done with the treatment. So it's a little celebration moment that we get to check the potties. It is just too cute when these toddlers are lined up, and they know they cannot get up until there's a produce. So when they are done, the nurse and I, and the sister and I, and the 2 nurses go check, and we make sure that each child that has any parasite left gets to be treated again. And it's very effective. It's simple treatment. It's very simple treatment. But when families say sometimes an adoption goes so quick that it's not enough time between the antibiotic and then the treatment and then the second medical, so some parasite gets to stay behind, those hardcore ones that get stuck. So then I get email and say, or you get emails, and someone say to you, "Oh, my child has parasites. My child has 7 parasites, and my pediatrician is very concerned." And the nurse and I look at each other and we say, "Only 7?" And it's not to undermine the importance of it, but that may demonstrate to families how normal it is to have parasites there. When you guys come to visit, you have the same thing, and you come back and you deworm and you anti-parasite. We do that every month in our family.
And this little skin fungus that they have on their hair, and sometimes we see these pictures with their heads have been shaved.
Yes.
I got a patch on my face this summer hugging a child in Ethiopia. It took weeks of cream to get that cleared up.
Yes, a specialized cream, right?
Yes.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, we get that. We get that cream from the hospital, and it's a prescription only because it's so expensive, and it's not an over-the-counter drug. But these what are these called now? Fungus, thank you, is extremely contagious. So when we have 2 and 3 children sleeping together in the same bed, from your side of the pillow to my side of the pillow to my sheet to your sheet and your blanket, and my blanket that we share, tomorrow morning, there was nothing yesterday, but tomorrow morning you have small spots on your head. So that is why we shave the hair, so that it can dry quicker. And especially during the dry season, that is very, very evident. So that makes the task harder to keep the hygiene of the orphanages higher as well. It is very important for families to understand that once you return home, please visit your doctor. And when your children go through their medical testing here, do repeated testing. Don't just assume that the parasites are taken care of when they test negative. Go back in 6 months, and then go back another 6 months, and just make sure that no eggs have had time to mature.
And we also have this issue with things like hepatitis. We're not medical experts as case managers, and we tell you what we know, but there are instances where a child can have not enough antibodies being produced, and the hepatitis can hide, and so they may have a negative test in Ethiopia and something be lurking that doesn't come to the forefront until after they get home. So it's important to have those thorough exams immediately and then follow up. And the planner has an extensive list of resources, doctors, consultants. There are all kinds of early intervention things that can be helpful for. I heard of a child just recently that had very weak muscles in their jaw, and they're able to get physical therapy, occupational therapy that actually improves their speech later on. And those are things that your normal pediatrician is not going to be alert to because they're not used to these third world country conditions. One mother told me recently that they had adopted a little girl from China who had been tongue-tied, and because they had that surgery for her, when they brought home a little boy from Ethiopia, they immediately recognized that he had a problem and had to have surgery. So these are things that are not as common perhaps in the United States, and that's the reason it's so important to have an international adoption specialist that can evaluate those things and tell you what is short-term, what's long-term, and what needs extensive help.
That's very good advice.